Now it's going live. There we go. Hello. It says we're live. A little bit of technical difficulty. Sorry, everyone. We're about 5 minutes late getting started. Welcome back. We had a nice August off. We hope you all did too. And we're glad to be back tonight to start our weekly calls. So for those of you who are joining us from Facebook, welcome. And for those of you who are joining us on Zoom, welcome as well. Tonight we have a really interesting topic that is near and dear to my heart because it has been personally happening in my household. And Emily was just traveling, and so we were talking about some of the routines that we've been using, and we thought we would do a call about oils for high emotions like anxiety. And the back to school season has started. So for those of you who have anxiety around back to school, both with children and adults, or any kinds of nervous tension or stressful mind running, right? Maybe your children are not experiencing anxiety, but they're experiencing some kind of stress or tension, or you too, as the grown-up that's welcoming them back to those routines as well. These are the oils that we're going to highlight for you tonight. Would you like to go first? Talk about which oils you brought on your trip?
Yes. Okay, so in my trip, I took a carry-on, so I had a very small space, and I only brought this little case, and probably has like 4 spots for rollers. But of these rollers, I brought Magnolia, which I want to talk about first. This is amazing. It smells very like fruity and floral, more so like on the fruity side. And I fell in love with it when it was released last year at convention. And this one has 75% more linalool, yes, linalool than lavender, which is like the calming property of the chemical constituent in the oil. So this is lavender on steroids, and it's definitely, it has sedative effects. So I brought it as like my perfume, but also there was a lot of travel involved in my trip. I went to 3 different places in France. So getting everywhere, I needed my nerves to be, calm and make sure I could get to where I needed to be. So I had this, and I was just telling Laura, it was like halfway full, like before I left, and then I got back, and it's like a quarter left. So I use it every day. I put it on the inside of my arms like this, and then I rub these together. And also I did it on my neck, so it doubles as perfume. It's pretty strong in that way, so I used it for that, but also for the anxious feelings. And it's the oil of compassion, so really good for compassion for yourself, compassion if you're dealing with a stressful situation. So I highly recommend this for the anxious feelings and stress. And then I want to talk about peace. And this is from the emotional line, and it's the reassuring blend. So I brought this because I wanted some help with sleep while I was away, and Serenity doesn't come in a roller, and this is easier to carry on the go, and it's very calming. It's an amazing blend of vetiver, which also has sedative effects. It also has lavender, ylang ylang, which I love, also great for anxious feelings. Frankincense, also calming and grounding. Clary sage, marjoram, which I love, love. Marjoram is the oil of trust, so this is really good to feel reassured and trusting. Labdanum, and then spearmint, which you can't really tell about the spearmint, but that's also really good for confidence. So I would use this during the day too if I was ever stressed and just needed to be grounded. I would put it on my neck and the bottoms of my feet, and then do it at night on my spine, so that could get distributed through my nervous system. And yeah, and if I ever needed to, I'd put it a little bit under my nose if I needed to keep smelling it. So good for day or night. But if you're ever going through like a transition that's incredibly stressful, any anxious feelings, or just a stressful time, peace, the blend is for you. So those are like my 2 go-tos right now.
I use Magnolia at night and in the morning, but I was just saying to Emily that I needed to bring it with me to work today because I had a very long marathon day, and it would have been beneficial if I had remembered to roll it on my forearms while I was going through the high intensity that was happening throughout the day. So I'm going to pop it into my little oil bag and bring it with me tomorrow. Okay, so the oils that I want to talk about are vast. A couple I'm just going to breeze through because you know I love these. They're my favorites. Wild orange and balance. Those two in a combo in your diffuser help you to calm down. They're great for anxious feelings. They're great for when you're feeling like you are sort of a mopey Eeyore and you just need a little bit of a boost mood wise. And wild orange you can put in your water, and it's safe for children as well. So this would be a great combo, these two, to put in the diffuser when children are arriving home after school or in the evenings as they're doing homework. If you've got older children who do homework, transitioning into the nighttime. So that would be a fabulous diffuser blend. I like to use it at night to keep it running while I'm sleeping just because I love it so much. The other one that I love a lot and I've talked a lot about before is balance and serenity. We call those the anti-anxiety blend, and they just take the shock of anxiety right out. So if you have somebody in your family who is prone to high anxiety or prone to really intense feelings of anger or frustration or just anxiousness, really, that would be a great one to put into a roller ball. And I put in about 25 drops of each, which is a lot, but there's a person in my family who uses this every single day, and that's how much they need. So play around with it. Children need less, so you would probably do maybe 5 or 10 drops of balance and 5 or 10 drops of serenity, and then the rest mixed with fractionated coconut oil for them in their bottle. But for the adult in my family who needs it, it's 25 drops of each, and then the rest is filled with fractionated coconut oil. And just like Emily was saying, you roll it up your forearms because there's meridian lines there that help to absorb it quickly into your bloodstream. You put it on your pulse points, and then a little bit goes under your nose to be able to continue to smell it. Now, the other couple of oils that I'm going to reference that we've been using a lot in my family for my first grader. I have a first grader now. I cannot believe it. And life just goes so fast. These are the ones that we've been using from the kids collection. Stronger, which is the more gentle version of On Guard. So this is for immunity. We roll this down the spine every day as we're getting dressed for school. We put it on the bottoms of the feet before we put our shoes and socks on, and we rub a little bit on the chest. And now that we're in first grade, we can do most of that ourselves, which is fabulous because we're creating independence there. And that just supports the immune system as they're transitioning back into a school community with lots of new school germs for the year. The next one we've been using a lot is Brave, and I love this one so much. I use this as perfume. I just think it's such a sweet smell. It's just so luscious and complex and fruity and juicy, and it's just a beautiful smell. But Brave is obviously for emotions and supporting us in feeling less anxious, supporting us in feeling like we can go out and conquer the world, like we actually can walk into the classroom even though we might not feel like we know anybody, or we're really anxious because we don't know the teacher and we're not sure what's going to happen. We roll Brave in the same spots that we rolled our Stronger. So I rolled it down the spine, we rolled it on the chest, he rolled it on his neck, I put it on his forearms and in the crooks of his elbows. We didn't put this one on the feet because aromatically, when we can inhale this one, it smells the scent goes up into our limbic part of our brain, and it just starts to work faster. So there's no point in putting it on the feet because we can't smell it. And then the other one we've been using a lot is Steady. Steady is also one of the kids collection line of oils, and it is a slightly gentler version of our Intune oil. Intune is fabulous for folks who have really tiny attention spans, or their attention spans are flighty all over the place and they just are hopping around with wanting to see everything in the world all at once, and everything is very stimulating. That's a very powerful oil, and this Steady oil is a gentler version of that. And I think it smells a little appley. And actually, my son, I just love it. My son does not love the smell. He tells me, Mom, it smells like rotten apples. It's so gross. And really, it's not chemically aligned with his system to smell pleasant because he's out of balance and he needs to be steadied. And of course, every child needs that in the beginning of a school year, right? They're walking into a new routine, they're walking into new relationships, they're walking into potentially new communities, and they need a lot of support around feeling grounded and able to focus on the tasks in front of them. So Steady is really helping him. And we do that in the same spots, down the spine, on the neck of the throat area along the chest, and then rolled up the meridians and into the crooks of the elbows. And that's been really working. This is a trifecta, these three that I've been using. We're using them on a daily basis right now. So if you have any of these kinds of feelings, also, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be the transition back to school or traveling like Emily was just doing, but the transition from summer to fall can sometimes also bring on sort of laissez-faire, or that's not the right way to describe it, but sort of like what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like a
Lethargic?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
lethargic or sort of down or sad or just sort of listless kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Transitions seasonally will oftentimes bring those emotional changes for us. And it's perfectly fine to have a great life and to be adjusted and to be happy and to be financially secure and all those great things that we always work on in our lives and still feel this way, like a mopey Eeyore, and we don't quite know why. Give yourselves permission to just let that be, and then use these oils to support your moods. I was sort of feeling that way in the last weeks of August as I was transitioning back into this fall school routine that my family is in now. And I noticed that I was reaching a lot for my magnolia. I was reaching a lot for my wild orange. I was reaching a lot for my brave, my son's brave, but I borrow it a lot. And that was okay. I have a beautiful life. There was nothing wrong. There was wonderful summertime activities happening for my family, but I think emotionally my physical and mental body, maybe my spiritual body as well, was getting ready to move into a different season, and I was sort of lamenting and a little bit sad. Oh, that's another one. For a lot of these things, there also is an underlying sadness that's present for us, and we don't notice it at first. Sadness sometimes is the underlying emotion that sits underneath other emotions. So a lot of times, if your children are really angry, they're grieving the loss of something, or they're afraid of something coming up that they don't have control over. So if you've got angry kids transitioning back to school, you might want to be using the oil called Console. That's from our emotional line, and it is such a beautiful oil. Putting it on the bottoms of the feet, rolling it up the arms, putting it on the chest. It comes in rollerball form, and it also comes in tiny 5 ml bottles that you can diffuse, and that might be a nice oil to diffuse at night. It's very heady. It's very dense. So you just need a little tiny bit. It goes a long way. I'll put a little tiny swipe on each side of my neck, and people will walk into a space where I am and say, "Oh my God, it smells so great in here. What's going on in this room?" And it's just like, I've done one swipe and it's like perfume.
It's perfume.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We wanted to give you some really practical tips for being able to support yourself or your family members when there are times of stress during travel or seasonal change or back to school routines, such as now. And we hope that you can put some of these to use. And thank you for joining both of us. This is Laura West, owner of Divine Lotus Healing, and
Emily Smith, owner of Guide to Wholeness Healing.
We will be back next week to join you again for another live call, so stay tuned. And for those of you who are members of the Divine Lotus Essential Oil community, you can find this video on replay in our new membership forum, which I'm really excited about. We have a new password. I sent out emails over the summer, and you have to reset your password. If you need any help, just send me an email through my website. There's a contact form. I'm happy to help you get set up with it. And you can have free access to this as a replay, and you can also download it as an audio podcast. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.